My name is Lauren Claremont, and I'm going to give you a review of my Read Aloud I did with kindergarten at Top of the World Elementary in Laguna Beach, California, of Mrs. Bartlett's class. The book I read to the class was called The Rainbow Fish. I don't know if you can see there, but it's by Marcus Pfister. Before I start explaining it, I'm going to give a little background. I did observe this class before. I went in to begin my reading at about 8:15 in the morning, so the class had just started. I am about 8 months pregnant, so that kind of threw the class off to begin with. It took a little while to get them to calm down with the teacher's help, so we all talked about that. I did have somebody record who started the recording a little bit late. They were under the impression that they were just supposed to get the recording. So I will tell you that I chose this particular book because through my observation, I knew that they were studying sea creatures, all different types of sea creatures. So I chose the book The Rainbow Fish for a variety of reasons, but one of them being that it was about sea creatures. I also chose it because it has illustrations that were really appealing to the eye, and I could make connections, keeping the students engaged through the illustrations and then to an art project I incorporated later on. I also chose it because it had challenging vocabulary, but it was not beyond what they were capable of. It was also long enough, but not too long that I lost their attention, and there was a moral to the story. It involved sharing and friendship, so it was at an appropriate kindergarten age level. Before I started reading, what wasn't caught on the video was I went over with the kids, how should I read? So I said things like, should I read in a whisper or should I read very fast? And they were very engaged by things like that. And we talked about sitting and listening and waiting to raise their hand. Let me go over my questions. Preparing for my reading, I actually prepared by reading to my son and my husband many nights just to get in the rhythm of the reading, practice voices, and think about how it engages students. I also went online and found a couple of YouTube videos that talked about ways to engage students, and I even found one that read this particular book, so that was helpful to get some tips. For example, how to use voices and when changing characters, and one of the big tips I got was how to explain the vocabulary while I was still reading. So for example, I had used the vocabulary word wavered. The book said he wavered. So I read the sentence to the kids, I paused, and then I explained what wavered meant, and then I went on with the story. So that was a good way that I prepared with some difficult vocabulary words. I felt pretty confident before I started reading aloud after we got everybody calmed down and relaxed about talking about the fact that I was pregnant. What I didn't anticipate that I lost my confidence in was that a lot of the students had already known the book. So when I said we're going to read this book, they already knew the storyline, they knew the book. I planned, as you saw, I covered the rainbow fish and had them imagine what it looked like, but many of them already knew the storyline. But I think that they enjoyed the process of taking off the paper. They got to activate their thinking of what the rainbow fish could be, what colors that might have, what they used their imagination. So I think that was a good exercise, but I should have prepared myself more for the fact that the kids would know a lot of the books that they read at kindergarten age and in the future. The kids were really engaged the whole time. What was caught on video was that my 2-year-old, who was in the room during it, ran up to me while I was reading. So I was really impressed with the kids for not getting completely distracted. It was very distracting for me. I would expect that I wouldn't have that in a normal classroom, but that threw me off. He got right up next to me and was trying to play with the kids, and they did a great job, but they're in kindergarten, so it was hard to ignore him. So that After that, it was very difficult for me to get my rhythm back. And I don't think he would be in my normal classroom, so I assumed that wouldn't happen the next time. But after that happened, I just sort of lost the momentum. After the kids were great, well behaved, they were gracious and said thank you. When I asked questions, I wish I had a little more classroom control. There was shouting out, and I wish I had thought ahead of how I was going to manage the questions a little bit more, especially with that age level. My expectation was that they were going to raise their hands, and that really isn't the way it goes necessarily in kindergarten. Some kids were capable of doing that, but some kids just couldn't control the fact they want to yell out the answers. So my next read aloud, there was a lot of things I would improve on. I would not have my 2-year-old in the class. I would be better prepared for taking questions from the kids, and also be better prepared in the fact that they might already know the book. So I should have had more questions, and if I saw things going a particular direction, like that they had already known the storyline of the book, I would have geared it a different way. I think I did a good job activating learning through visualization, talking about the moral of the story. I also think I did a very good job of talking about main character, author, illustrator, different points of literature that the kids did know more about than I thought. So what I learned about the children was just their enthusiasm for the reading causes them to yell out sometimes, and I definitely need to work on classroom management. I needed to work on being able to call on each student one at a time and let students know when it wasn't their turn. What I learned about myself as a teacher, I thought I did a good job keeping kids engaged, using voices, acting silly, which they need at that age level, I believe, to keep them involved in it. I also, which wasn't recorded, is I created a art project to go along with it. So I gave each student a little rainbow fish, a blank one here, and we talked about that the rainbow fish could be all different. It didn't have to be exactly how it looked like on the cover. So I gave them an example, and I'll show that to you. Give them an example of a fish, a rainbow fish, and then you can see they had watercolors. The only basic instruction that they had to all follow was to color the fins blue and the face blue and the mouth yellow, because in a moment you'll see on the book that's how it was. But besides that, they had freedom to do what they wanted, which I think they really enjoyed this. They all made different ones. They all, got creative with it. And then when this art project was completed, they each got a sparkly sticker for their good behavior, and they were excused to PE for the day, and then each fin got a piece of glitter on it, which was a part of the storyline that each fish had a rainbow fin. So they had something to look forward to when they came back. And overall, I think it went really well. There are things I would improve for the next time, but I liked the exercise. I really enjoyed this age level a lot more than I thought I would, and it made me think about other ways to be creative next time with the literature and connecting it to some sort of a project afterwards. So thank you very much for your time.